back up. They're going that way. They're going that way, guys. You guys gotta back up.
Terence Crawford and Gervonta Davis had an unexpected face-to-face encounter yesterday, following a heated exchange on X, formerly Twitter. Let's just say this meeting seemed inevitable, as their online feud suggested there was more to settle than just verbal jabs. The drama began when Crawford, fresh from attending the Ring Magazine Awards in London, crossed paths with Davis, who had recently been away from training camp and attended a meeting abroad before planning to resume camp upon his return. Fate brought Terence Crawford and Gervonta "Tank" Davis face-to-face, creating the perfect opportunity for tension to escalate. Davis spotted Crawford first and, instead of ignoring him, approached the former undisputed welterweight champion to confront him about their recent online feud. Crawford, unfazed, responded briefly and walked away, not taking Davis seriously. However, Davis kept shouting after him, prompting Crawford's team to step in and pull the pound-for-pound king away from the scene. Things are heating up between Terence Crawford and Gervonta Davis, and it seems this rivalry is far from over. While fans eagerly anticipate a potential Crawford vs. Canelo showdown, the idea of Crawford and Davis facing off, whether in the ring, on the streets, or elsewhere, is becoming more plausible. Their tension appears to stem from events at the Ring Magazine Awards in London on Saturday, where Davis's notable absence might have added fuel to the fire. This feud doesn't seem like it'll end quietly anytime soon. Boxing's biggest names gathered in London for the Ring Magazine Awards, but a few notable figures were absent. Chief among them, Gervonta "Tank" Davis. Despite his plans to retire in 2025, Davis remains a dominant force in boxing with an unbeaten record of 30 fights and 28 knockouts, firmly placing him among the sport's elite. However, Tank's absence may not have been accidental. Reports suggest he wasn't invited due to strained relations with Riyadh Season and Turki Alashik, who also owns the Ring magazine. Understandably, the lightweight champion didn't take kindly to being excluded, feeling overlooked in a celebration of boxing's finest. Davis took to his X account to vent his frustration in several posts, which he later deleted. However, Terence Crawford didn't miss the chance to mock him, sparking an online feud that has continued through Tuesday. Davis's posts criticized both the event organizers and attendees, revealing his displeasure over being left out. While the exact reasons for his absence from the Ring Awards remain unclear, it's no secret that Davis's relationship with the Riyadh Season team is strained. Crawford's response only added fuel to the fire, escalating tensions between the two champions. The rivalry between Terence Crawford and Gervonta "Tank" Davis has been simmering for a while, with both exchanging jabs and taunts over time. Recently, Crawford, who reportedly met with Turki Alashik and is rumored to be nearing a mega fight with Canelo Alvarez later this year, took a swipe at Davis. Mocking Davis's frustration over not being invited to the Ring Magazine Gala, Crawford posted, "I see somebody's mad they weren't invited to the Ring Magazine Gala. I remember being left out, that's why, when they let me in, I crashed the party," followed by laughing emojis. This response came after Davis's deleted posts, some of which were saved and reshared by users. To understand Crawford's taunt, it's worth revisiting the tone of Davis's posts, where he criticized both the event and its attendees, revealing his dissatisfaction with the apparent snub. Although Gervonta Davis deleted his posts, several outlets captured and reported them. In one post, Davis questioned the event's exclusivity, writing, "Why didn't they invite everybody? But they invited people they deal with. Get out of here. Stop bum eating." He then took aim at Eddie Hearn, calling him "that little rat" and mocking his roster, adding, "Now tell them all to fight each other since they have such a heavy roster." Davis also had sharp words for Turki Alashik, suggesting that the guests should take the opportunity to fight each other. He went further, criticizing the Saudi figure for not knowing anything about boxing. These pointed remarks shed light on Davis's frustration with being left out of the event and his broader grievances with some of the sport's key figures. In one of his now-deleted posts on X, Gervonta Davis appeared to take direct aim at Riyadh season head Turki Alashik. They want to act like this guy is good for boxing when he's not good at anything. If he's so good, why isn't he building up fighters from where he's from? This guy knows nothing about boxing, and that's who they're turning to, Davis wrote, doubling down on his criticism. His remarks reflect deep frustration with the growing influence of figures he feels lack genuine knowledge of the sport. Davis continued his rant, expressing frustration over how many fighters, unlike him, are willing to leave the U.S. in pursuit of money but end up fighting in front of nearly empty crowds. This seemed to fuel the ongoing dispute between him and Terence Crawford, which stretched into Tuesday. The tension escalated when Davis bragged to Crawford about his financial success, claiming to have more money. Crawford's response didn't sit well with Davis, who, in a series of deleted posts, called out Bud over how much money he was making, adding more fuel to their already heated feud. In a pointed exchange, Crawford fired back at Davis, writing, "I still make more than you. Y'all think he's chasing greatness, but he's not. That's what he has to do to make decent money. The first thing a rich fool tells another rich fool is that he has more money than you. I bet I have more investments than you, and I don't owe $1 in taxes. You can't buy anything that I can't buy or want, sir, and that's a fact. Let's see who has the longest-lasting money, smart boy." Davis responded with more insults, continuing the back and forth. Interestingly, last year, during a press conference for the Lamont Roach fight, Davis stunned everyone by announcing his intention to retire from boxing by the end of 2025, a declaration that added an extra layer of complexity to their rivalry. Given the tensions, many followers might wonder why Gervonta Davis would even care about formalities like not being invited to an event. However, this may not be the first time Terence Crawford has taken a shot at the Baltimore native. Shortly after Crawford defeated Errol Spence Jr. and became an undisputed champion, he caught wind of Davis's claim that he could beat Crawford at 147 pounds. This remark from Davis seemed to spark Crawford's competitive fire, leading to another round of jabs between the two. Speaking on The Breakfast Club, a calm and collected Terence Crawford acknowledged Gervonta Davis's skills in the ring but made it clear that there are levels to boxing. He downplayed the banter, stating that if Davis thinks he can just move up to 147 pounds and knock him out, he's in for a rude awakening. Despite the ongoing back and forth between the two, Crawford emphasized that for him, the only fight that truly matters right now is his potential showdown with Canelo Alvarez.
Gave a little prediction on the fight, talked about Errol has a metal shield and you have a glass shield. Talk about the punch resistance. What do you think of Tank's assessment, man?
Terence Crawford and Gervonta "Tank" Davis are currently 3 weight classes apart, but they've both competed in the same divisions in the past. Crawford started his career at lightweight, where Davis is still a world champion. Crawford later became undisputed at super lightweight, a division where Davis also claimed a belt. Since then, Crawford has moved up, clearing out the welterweight division before debuting at 154 pounds last year. Meanwhile, Davis remains at 135 pounds, holding the WBA world title and knocking out anyone in his path. Though Davis has jokingly claimed in the past that he could knock out Crawford, the larger Crawford has warned him not to punch above his weight, signaling that their rivalry may be more than just talk.
I mean, you came up from 35, right?
He ain't fighting no real guys at 47.
See, okay. What about everyone's talking about Errol?
While a fight between Terence Crawford and Gervonta Davis seems unlikely, some believe it wouldn't be an easy win for Crawford. In an interview with Real Life Productions, multi-division world champion Roy Jones Jr. weighed in, calling it a good damn fight and suggesting it would be highly competitive if they met just under the welterweight limit. Jones acknowledged that Crawford is tough to beat, but he gave Davis a solid chance, saying, "I don't see anybody around that's going to beat Bud unless it's somebody way bigger than him." But don't sleep on the fact that if he and Tank fought at about 145, that's a good damn fight, you understand me?
But Crawford, on the other hand, I don't see nobody around that's going to be beat Bud unless it's somebody way bigger than him. But don't sleep on the fact that
Roy Jones Jr. pointed out that both Crawford and Davis have high boxing IQs, but Tank's explosiveness sets him apart from fighters like Errol Spence. An explosive fighter can go a lot of places, Jones said, adding, "I was only able to cover the weights I did because I was so explosive." Explosiveness keeps people in check. While the two Americans continue their separate paths, Crawford is eyeing a showdown with super middleweight champion Saul Canelo Alvarez, which would require a jump of 14 pounds. Davis, on the other hand, will face Lamont Roach Jr. in March before, as he stated in his latest press conference, retiring by the end of the year. Tank fans can look forward to his fight with Roach, scheduled for March 1st at the Barclays Center.
if him and Tank fought at about 145, that's a good daggone fight. You understand me? Matter of fact, I'm gonna say that's a good damn fight. You understand me? Because they both have very high IQs, and Tank is very explosive. See, that's the one thing Tank got there.
While Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez is the fight that looks set to be made,
the much-anticipated Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez fight seems set to happen this year, as reports suggest both fighters have agreed to terms for the mega showdown. This matchup will bring together two of the best pound-for-pound boxers in the world. The deal reportedly came together after Crawford and Canelo met separately with Saudi chief Turki Al-Sheikh in London over the weekend, following a year of back-and-forth discussions about whether the fight would happen. While many in boxing are excited at the prospect of seeing these two champions face off, it appears another one of the sport's biggest stars, Gervonta Davis, has now inserted himself into the conversation, seemingly unimpressed by the buzz surrounding the Crawford-Canelo fight.
Easy work. I heard him say, "I'm easy work." If I was easy work, well, you would take all that money that he's offering you.
With Gervonta Davis reportedly not a fan of the Crawford versus Canelo fight, his coach, Calvin Ford, has also weighed in on the potential matchup. The debate over who would win between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford continues to spark excitement in the boxing world. The fight would be one of the biggest in the sport, pitting two pound-for-pound greats against each other. However, it would require Crawford to make a significant jump in weight. Davis's trainer, Calvin Ford, recently shared his thoughts with Fight Hype, leaning toward the Mexican champion in the potential showdown.
Terence Crawford, Canelo situation, do you think that's a fight where they could get to a weight that makes sense? Do you think that the weight would affect Terence Crawford?
Canelo is the king. Whatever he say, you know what I'm saying?
Calvin Ford expressed his admiration for Canelo Alvarez, calling him the king and saying, "It's a good fight, and I'd like to see that fight and the outcome of it." He also praised Canelo's recent moves in his career, acknowledging the Mexican champion's strategic approach to his fights. When discussing Terence Crawford's performance in his last fight, where he moved up to 154 pounds to defeat Israel Madrimov but couldn't secure a stoppage, Ford pointed out that it was Crawford's first fight at that weight. "You can't say he didn't carry the power up there," Ford said, explaining that Crawford had to make adjustments, much like other fighters who move up in weight. Ford hopes Crawford gets another opportunity at 154 pounds to prove he can succeed there. If Crawford struggles in his next outing at that weight, Ford suggested it may be time to start questioning his ability to compete at the higher division.
Good fight. I like to see that fight, the outcome of it, you know what I'm saying? And then watching Canelo been making some good moves, as far as fights and whatnot,
Calvin Ford wrapped up his thoughts by explaining why Crawford is pursuing a fight with Canelo Alvarez. "Terence is a bad boy," Ford said. "He's moving up because he wants to get the fight. He isn't getting any younger, and he's doing everything he needs to do to cement his legacy." Crawford's pursuit of the Canelo showdown is part of his drive to further solidify his place in boxing history. While Crawford has focused on securing a fight with Canelo, he's also found himself in a war of words with Teofimo Lopez. Their feud has intensified recently, with a fresh exchange of insults on social media adding fuel to the fire. The tension between the two fighters continues to grow, making for an interesting backdrop as Crawford prepares for his next steps in the ring.
At 147, how does a fight with you and Terence Crawford look? 147?
Over the past 2 years, Terence Crawford has made a strong case for being the top pound-for-pound boxer in the sport, especially after his dominant win over Errol Spence Jr. in their super fight at 147 pounds. When asked about how he would fare against the bigger Crawford, Gervonta "Tank" Davis, who fights at 135 pounds, confidently stated, 147. You know he's going to sleep. He ain't got no chance. Hey, I got round 6. Crawford, however, brushed off Davis's bold comments, pointing out that Davis is in his weight class for a reason. I don't see him coming up to 147 to face me no time soon, Crawford said. In a recent appearance on The Breakfast Club, a popular morning radio program on New York's Power 105.1 FM, Crawford also discussed the possibility of facing Davis. While he didn't seem overly concerned, the conversation added more fuel to their ongoing rivalry.
And everybody say, what they'll do, but Tank is in his weight class for a reason, and I don't see him come up to 147 to face me no time soon.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Tank.
He's just talking, Crawford told the Breakfast Club co-hosts Charlemagne the God and DJ Envy when addressing Tank Davis's bold claim. He's got the confidence in himself because he's been knocking out all these fighters he's been in the ring with. So no knock to Tank, but there's definitely levels. And if he comes up to 147 thinking he's just going to knock Terence Crawford out, he's got another thing coming. Crawford made it clear that while Davis is confident, the challenges he'd face at a higher weight class would be a different story altogether.
Confidence in himself that he believes that he can do that because he's been knocking all these fighters out that he's been in the ring with.
At 30 years old, Gervonta Davis has fought as high as junior welterweight, which is the same division where Terence Crawford became a fully unified champion. Davis showcased his power in that weight class when he dropped former WBA World Super Lightweight champion Mario Barrios 3 times during their bout in June 2021. Davis ultimately defeated Barrios by 11th round technical knockout at State Farm Arena in Atlanta, solidifying his credentials at the higher weight class.
No knock to Tank, but there's definitely levels. And if he come up to 147.
In his most recent appearance, Gervonta Davis scored a devastating knockout of rival Frank Martin in the 8th round of a 12-round non-title bout, which took place at a contracted catchweight of 136 pounds. Meanwhile, Terence Crawford, now 37, has continued his dominance in the welterweight division. Since moving up to 147 pounds 5 years ago, Crawford has defeated each of his 8 welterweight opponents by knockout or technical knockout, after relinquishing his 140-pound titles from the IBF, WBA, WBC, and WBO. His knockout streak at welterweight has solidified his reputation as one of the most dangerous fighters in boxing.
And he's thinking he's just going to knock Terence Crawford out. Got another thing coming.
So that's a fight you would make happen? If he wanted to come up to 147?
Yeah.
Terence Crawford made history when he sent Errol Spence Jr. to the canvas for the first time in Spence's 10-year professional career during the second round of their fight. Crawford followed that up with 2 more knockdowns in the 7th round, ultimately securing a 9th round technical knockout victory. However, Crawford has contended that if he were to face Gervonta Davis, he wouldn't receive the same level of credit. He believes that for their high-profile fight to happen, Davis would have to move up 2 weight classes, which he feels would make it less impressive if Crawford were to defeat him.
147 for him, that's a big money.
That's a big fight, yeah.
It's a big money fight, yeah.
Those spins.
But then what?
Terence Crawford acknowledged that while the purse for a fight with Gervonta Davis would be large enough to make him take the matchup, he questioned the level of recognition he'd receive if he won. Yeah, I'll stay at 147 for him because that's a big money fight, Crawford said, referencing his willingness to face Davis. But then what? Everybody's going to say he was too small. Nobody's going to give me credit. They'll say, oh man, you beat up a little guy who fights at 135. Crawford pointed out that Davis, at 5 feet 5 inches, is a smaller fighter, and while he's a powerful puncher in his own weight class, moving up from 135 to 147 pounds is a significant jump, around 12 pounds. That's a big jump, Crawford added, emphasizing the difference in weight and the challenge it would present for Davis. Despite acknowledging Tank's punching power, Crawford remained doubtful about the recognition he'd receive from beating him, given the weight disparity.
Chan, you know he going to sleep.
I already know.
I already know he ain't got no chance. I already know he is.
Said no chance.
I got.
Undisputed heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk threw his support behind Terence Crawford in the highly anticipated potential bout against Saul Canelo Alvarez, which could take place at the end of this year or in early 2025. In a conversation with the 3KR podcast, Usyk praised Crawford for his bold decision to jump up 3 weight classes to challenge Canelo. He also highlighted Crawford's exceptional intelligence and versatility in the ring, noting that these qualities would serve him well in such a monumental fight. Usyk's endorsement added even more excitement to the matchup, with many believing Crawford's skills and strategy could pose a significant challenge to Canelo.
Of course, but there's talk of a potential fight between Canelo and Terence Crawford. How do you see that fight? Who do you like?
Terence.
Wow.
Friend, but it's crazy man. Listen.
Terence is my friend, but he's a crazy man, Usyk said, showing admiration for Crawford's unique qualities. I say Terence wins. Listen, Terence is a different man. Terence works in 2 stances. He's a very, very, very smart man. Usyk's praise highlights Crawford's adaptability and boxing IQ, further fueling excitement for the potential showdown with Canelo. Meanwhile, Saudi boxing promoter Turki Al-Sheikh has been working diligently to finalize the highly anticipated clash between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, with both camps eager to make the fight a reality.
I say Terence win. Yes.
What? Terence win over Canelo?
Yes, Terence win. But listen, Terence, different man.
The plan is to stage the highly anticipated fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford in the United States, potentially late this year or in early 2025, aiming to deliver the high-stakes matchup that boxing fans are eager for. Canelo has indicated that he would consider the fight if the financial terms are right. While some boxing experts believe Crawford will face significant challenges moving up in weight, others argue that his technical skills and ring IQ could enable him to overcome Canelo, even on the Mexican champion's home turf. Following his victory over Errol Spence Jr., Crawford made it clear that he's eyeing the disputed super middleweight title, which would put him in direct contention with Canelo for supremacy in the division.
Terence work in 2
two sides.
2 sides.
Right.
And
a
switch hitter.
Yes.
He's a
Yes.
switch hitter.
Yes.
After becoming the undisputed welterweight champion, Terence Crawford claimed he was willing to move up 3 weight classes to super middleweight for a mega fight with Canelo Alvarez. Crawford had previously considered the idea of a catchweight fight at either 158 or 160 pounds, but Alvarez quickly shut down those suggestions. That's all for now. For the best updates on news, moments, events, and action in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications to be alerted when we drop quality content like this. Until next time, peace out.